Welcome YouTube to another Minecraft tutorial. My name is Concac88 and today we're going to be making a automatic tree farm. One of the benefits of this tree farm is it does not require TNT, so we don't have to grind for those gunpowder resources and craft up all that TNT or create a duper, which I'm not a fan of dupers because I feel like it's kind of cheating to spawn in something in the world for free. So this is what I have come up with. This is the most efficient standing and chopping with an axe AFK tree farm. So you're just gonna stand here with your axe in hand. And what I like to do is change the left click to a button on my keyboard. So I can just hold down like the arrow button on my keyboard and you'll just keep swiping up and chopping down the trees once they've grown and they've been pushed forward. So let's go ahead and quickly take a look at how this farm works. For demonstration purposes, we have removed the Nelium block and replaced it with a netherrack block. Let's go ahead and extend this back down. Now we have a few circuits running in here that are very important. Two of them are clocks. So if we turn it on, we'll see that we have a clock moving the bottom piston. This is going to reset whatever is grown. And if we have a failed mushroom grow, then it will push it off. If we have a successful mushroom growth, then this dispenser right here will turn it into a tree. So if we take a look at those two clocks behind here, we've got anything that's in white and blue as a clock here. We've got this fast comparator clock hitting both dispensers. You can see this target block runs our bottom dispenser, and over here, this one will run our mushroom growth dispenser right there. And for our bottom piston clock to be able to reset a failed mushroom growth, we have 6 pistons in a line. Now, in order to turn this off, you need this powered, so that way the powered block will stop the item, the one item we have in this hopper clock here, from moving around, and that will stop that clock. And also, when this is unpowered, it won't have a signal to run this comparator clock down here. Remember, you got to make sure this is in subtract mode. Now, with those two things running, that will allow us to have a tree be grown. So once a tree is grown, we have to stop this piston or it's going to just push forward the block that's sitting right here. We don't want that. So what we want to do is we want to stop that piston clock right here with locking this repeater here. This will stop that, and then what we do from there is we have a little delay. When you grow a tree, you're going to have... There we go. You're going to have a few blocks spawn in right here. You can have, I think, up to 3, sometimes 4 blocks that can grow right here, and you need time to be able to break them. So that way, all pistons can fire across, and then you can chop down the tree. So that's what this purple circuit is for. This is a small delay to be able to control when we push those pistons together. As you can see, we've only got 5 items in this hopper delay. This one is a sticky piston and this one is a regular piston, so that way it will rest back over on here and it's not a continuous clock. That runs down into this line. This is a falling edge monostable circuit, so once this fires and then this decays, it will fire this yellow line going through the middle, hitting all 5 pistons. Remember, this one is not running here anymore because we have locked it, and that will stay locked until all 5 pistons fire. Once all 5 pistons fire, then we're going to be standing right here, breaking all 5 blocks and have them being collected either in our inventory, but if your inventory is covered up with blocks, then it'll be collected down here in the bottom and put into your storage. Now, this farm does require a lot of bone meal, but it does not require TNT, so that's why it's more of an intermediate farm, because you do need a lot of bone meal, but you do not need endless amounts of TNT. So let's go ahead and talk about the rates. Down here, we can see what happens after an hour is you get about 13 stacks of wood. Now, it does require quite a bit more bone meal. This is how much bone meal you'll burn through in an hour. So 15 stacks of bones. And then you also do get some bone meal back if you want to put this into composters. And you can even collect a few extra resources as well. Or you can also bone meal these, but I would keep your shroom lights. It doesn't collect a lot of shroom lights, but I mean, a little bit is better than nothing. All right, so let's go ahead and see this farm in action. What we need to do is we need to pick a type of wood that we want to farm. Let's go ahead and pick the blue. And once we turn it on, the bottom dispenser is going to be turning it into a nyllium block, which can have foliage grow on it. So eventually we'll get the shroom, and then the top dispenser will allow it to grow up into a tree. So we'll turn it on. You can see we're creating our clock right here. All failed attempts get pushed off. With our clock that we have, it should allow almost every mushroom block to grow into a tree. So that's why we have six hoppers running around in a circle. Now this isn't the fastest farm, but keep in mind, all you have to do is stand here. So this is a great farm to run like during the nighttime. If you're just AFKing, you can put something here on your keyboard and keep swiping away all night long collecting free wood. Now keep in mind, wood is involved in every recipe, so this farm actually gives you access to hundreds of blocks for free. And we all know that chopping trees can be some of the most tedious things in Minecraft. Oh, we just had a tree grow. So as you can see, it pauses and then gets pushed forward. And this will continue over and over again. If you really want to do this for longer than the durability of your axe, you can actually add in an XP farm in here as well, and that will repair your axe if you have mending on it. Let's go ahead and shut this off real quick. So that can be done with a dispenser right here, and you can get bottles of enchanting from trading with villagers, which can be really useful. So this is just one of those extra things if you want to use this farm a lot and maybe supply wood for other people on a survival server. This might be something worth looking into. What you need is a cleric villager and then a clock to dispense XP. The delay that I found is really helpful is 4 stacks in a standard etho hopper clock. And then you would just connect the output of this into this block right here, and that would power that every so often to give you 1 XP ball to be able to repair your axe. Obviously, you're going to want to make sure that you have no extra mending armor on or anything else that's going to be robbing from that. And then another alternative thing you can do is with your bone meal, you can turn an off switch to your farm from this location here. So if you run this line to your on circuit, then you can turn the farm off if you are either out of XP bottles or you are out of bone meal. You don't want to be throwing away XP when you run out of bone meal. You can waste a lot of bone meal that way. You also want to make sure you have 2 lines of bone meal going into your farm. So it's going to take a full hopper speed to fuel this farm. So that's why we have, say, a line here and a line here. If you just have one chest splitting into both, you might not have the proper bone flow going into the farm for it to run efficiently. Before we wrap up this video, let's go ahead and talk about some important things when you're building this farm. So one thing that you can do is you can build this farm underground. As you can see, the farm grows 21 blocks, 22 if you count this layer, above the farm. So I like to build this underneath the ground, and then you could even build a way to jump down on top of here, and then you could, mine this down if you wanted to get a few extra resources, a few extra shroom lights. It's just a great way to hide this terrible mess on top, and a way to get a few easy resources. If you ever needed just a handful of red warp blocks, you could do that this way. Let's talk about the timings and the redstone. So we want no delays on most of the repeaters. This one would be, 1 standard, and then this one over here is 1. You want to block this hopper clock as fast as possible. In order for this line to fit in here, you need to have 2 repeaters right here for our firing of all 5 pistons. So that's why we have 2 repeaters there. And just to make it congruent, we have the same delay set on everyone. So this one would be set at 2, and this one would be set at 2. That's not super important, but it will fire them all at the same time, which makes me happy. Now, I don't think this needs a delay, but I put one in here. What is really important is this repeater down here. This needs to be on a delay of 3 for this falling edge monostable circuit to work. Again, this is at 1, And this torch tower here is pretty self-explanatory. This one here is at 1. And as we move around, you can see every other dispenser is set on a delay of 1. You need an extra repeater over here to make sure the signal can get up to our 2 clocks. Remember, this clock right here needs to have needs to be inverted because it needs to be off for it to work, as where this clock needs to be powered, or this block needs to be powered for this comparator clock to work. So we just invert it with running a torch repeater into a torch block and taking a signal from that. So that's how you can invert the signal down there. Let's see. Remember the amount of items in this etho redstone clock, or redstone timer, I should say, because it's got a sticky piston here and a regular piston over here, is 5 items. That is enough time for you to clear all the blocks above you right here, so you can clear these blocks before it tries to push over these 5 pistons. And to make sure this farm doesn't get out of hand, we actually need to put in immovable block right here, so that way this never gets pushed out. Obviously you can't push anymore, so if you don't clear out a block in time, it's not going to continue to push out all 5 of these blocks, which was part of the problem why I had to create some of these circuits, is to solve some of these problems. I want to be able to mine all 5 stem blocks every time this farm fires. And remember, if you want to build your XP orb dispenser to make sure that your axe doesn't break, this etho hopper clock with 2 sticky pistons has a total of 4 stacks in. Finally, before we go here, we're going to take a look quickly at the block layout. If you want to build this, we just have a easier version to take a look at it here. We've got, all of our blocks for the farm in place. This is 5 blocks long, goes down for 3 blocks, snakes back over, 3 blocks right here coming off of our bottom target block, followed with the ladder here for redstone that you can see. 3, 6, this is 9 blocks long, 10 counting this block. So just a quick reference for you to take a look at it if you want to build this. Now, if you guys have any questions about this, or you want me to build a block by block tutorial, go ahead and leave some comments in the description. If not, thanks for joining us, guys. Have a great time chopping wood.